Giving for air travel in 15 years. We'll discuss this and more of today's top stories. I'm Ernie Manouse.
And I'm Celeste Díaz Schurman. Also, Houston City Council member Tarsha Jackson of District B will discuss illegal dumping in Fifth Ward.
And I'm Frank Billingsley. Plus, we'll also talk with licensed professional counselor Audrey Omenson, who will tell us how to navigate family gatherings and avoid arguments on Thanksgiving.
Also, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or send us a text at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. You can also watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
All that and more right here on Hello Houston after the news from NPR and News 88.7.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. European leaders have been meeting today to discuss peace talks between Ukraine and Russia. NPR's Rob Schmitz reports they're expected to weigh a U.S. proposal that's drawn criticism from Kyiv and across Europe for being too favorable to Moscow.
A spokesperson for the European Commission says a lot of work remains to be done regarding Ukraine peace proposals. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters that President Trump's 28-point plan has changed since discussions between the U.S., Ukraine, and European countries began over the weekend in Geneva. German Foreign Minister Johann Wadepool characterized the talks as a decisive success for Europeans. European leaders are insisting that Ukraine not give up any territory that it currently holds and that it must not reduce the size of its army, as Trump's plan proposes. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says doing so would undermine security for all of Europe. Rob Schmitz, NPR News, Berlin.
The Trump administration is designating Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles a foreign terrorist organization. It's imposing sanctions that it says includes Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. The U.S. accuses the group of illegally trafficking drugs into the United States. The Venezuelan government calls the designation, quote, ridiculous, and has continued to push back against the U.S. military's buildup in the Caribbean. President Trump spoke with China's President Xi Jinping in a phone call today, according to a White House source confirmed on background. The call was first reported by Chinese state media. According to Reuters, Xi told Trump in that phone call that Taiwan's return to mainland China is, quote, an important part of the post-war international order. Again, that's according to China's official news agency, Xinhua. More than 80 million people across the United States are expected to travel for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday. NPR's Joel Rose reports this year's travel forecast is projected to set another record.
AAA is projecting that nearly 82 million people will travel at least 50 miles from home between the Tuesday before Thanksgiving and the Monday after the holiday. That's 1.6 million more than last year's record total. AAA expects that the vast majority, about 73 million, will travel by car. About 6 million people are expected to fly, though AAA says that number could wind up slightly lower if some air travelers made other plans because of flight disruptions during the government shutdown. The Federal Aviation Administration says this is expected to be the busiest Thanksgiving travel season in 15 years, with a peak of more than 52,000 flights scheduled on Tuesday. Joel Rose, NPR News, Washington.
U.S. stocks trading higher this hour, with the Dow up nearly 200 points, or roughly 0.5%. This is NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. A Houston police officer is recovering after being shot during an apparent act of road rage while on his way to work. News 88.7's Rob Salinas has details.
The incident took place Saturday evening in northwest Houston. According to HPD Chief Noe Diaz, Officer Jake Parker was in his personal vehicle on Gessner when a man in another vehicle approached him on foot.
He got out of his vehicle, fired into the officer's vehicle. The officer returned fire. The officer was in his uniform. He, however, did not have his vest.
Officer Parker was shot in the shoulder and drove himself less than a half mile to the police substation where he was treated before being taken to Memorial Hermann. A Hedwig Village police officer spotted the suspect vehicle. Officers closed in and arrested 2 men and a woman. They also recovered a weapon. I'm Rob Salinas, News 88.7.
The Supreme Court is weighing whether Texas can use recently redrawn congressional maps. On Friday, Justice Samuel Alito put a temporary pause on a ruling from a panel of federal judges in El Paso. They ruled the maps passed over the summer were invalid. However, Alito put a temporary stop on the ruling after Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton appealed. For now, the maps give Republicans an advantage in next year's midterms. Taking a look at sports, the Rockets are on the road to Phoenix tonight. They take on the Suns, oddly enough, without Kevin Durant. He's not with the team at the moment. Rockets management says he has the night off for personal reasons. Your check of weather, keep the rain gear handy. A 40% chance of rain this afternoon with a high of 85. An 80% chance of showers later tonight. We'll see a low around 67. And there's a slight chance of showers on Tuesday with a high of 79. Right now, mostly cloudy, 80 degrees on the UH campus. For more news and information, go to HoustonPublicMedia.org. I'm Tom Perumian, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive Insurance with Snapshot, a personalized program that bases rates on safe driving habits, at progressive.com. Not available in California or from all agents. This is NPR.
Live from the University of Houston, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's your host for Hello Houston, Ernie Manouse, Celeste Díaz Schurman, and Frank Billingsley.
Thanks for joining us this Monday, November 24th.
Here we are, a whole new week.
We're giving thanks you're there.
And we're thanking you for being here with us today. It's kind of gloomy outside, Frank.
You know, and if you look off to the west, like Austin County, Belleville, some big storms moving through, that's sort of the first clump that's ahead of this front that's going to be moving through tonight. So those are likely to miss Houston. They'll go to the north. I would watch out in Prairie View and Lake Conroe and Huntsville for these later this afternoon. But then tonight, Harris County will see this front move through starting at 9 o'clock. It'll be downtown where you live. It'll be where you live at 10, downtown, 10 o'clock. Be at the coast around 2 or 3 in the morning.
Okay.
And then behind it, breezy and cool. So that Thanksgiving Day, a low of 48, a high of 68.
I'm happy.
And sunny.
Beautiful.
So a nice bit. It's good. You know, Arctic
So when
air.
you burn the turkey and you have to open all the doors and windows,
Perfect.
Good air will be coming in.
Wonderful. Yeah, so people that are thinking about hitting the roads for travel.
I think you're okay. If you're going west toward San Antonio, it's a little rough right now, so be careful. But tomorrow, when we're going to talk probably more about traffic, tomorrow you're in good shape.
Okay.
And really, and Wednesday too, as far as driving.
Right.
And actually, I mean, most of the air traffic should be in pretty good shape, at least in Texas. But it's always about where is it coming from?
Where is it coming
Do you look
from?
that up when you're traveling? Where is this plane coming from? Because if it's coming from stormy Florida, it's going to be late. You know?
Right.
You know, I've never thought to do that.
No, you just
Really
hope for the
good.
best.
I just show up. I go with the flow.
It's like here.
I just show up, see what's on the show.
As Frank mentioned, tomorrow, Danny Perez from TxDOT will be joining us to talk about road traffic and what you can expect and different lane closures, because we know that is top of mind.
You know what else is top of mind? We've already talked about it a few times, and it has to do with the traffic. It's Thanksgiving. We have a poll up already on our YouTube where we want to know what you're really most excited for Thanksgiving. So when you go and watch us, you can get there through HoustonPublicMedia.org, or if you're on YouTube, just look for Hello Houston, and the poll's right there. Vote. We'll let you know what people think. Celeste, what are you most excited for the holiday?
Just being with family. Yeah. I really mean that. Just
Me
being
too.
with my
I
family.
put that down on my poll.
Yeah.
I just did that.
I put the food.
That's winning. Right. That's winning right now, though. By the way.
Yeah. But how to be with family. We're going to be talking about that on the show today. There are some of you who hear Celeste say being with family and dread runs through your body. It doesn't have to. We're going to tell you why on today's show.
Yes, we are. And it's interesting. I saw a picture of somebody's house today, and it was of a Christmas tree. And it was Ernie.
I put up my tree, but there's a reason for it. We talked about this a bit on Friday. I want to have people over on Friday, so I want it decorated for Christmas because Thanksgiving will be over.
Right.
I don't have any time between now and then to get it up, so I put it up over the weekend. And I lied. I said I wasn't going to turn the lights on, but as soon as it went up, the lights had to go on, and all the ornaments are on it and everything.
We always do white lights. Yeah. This year we're doing colored lights on our Christmas tree. I'm kind of into right now, a lot of trending things online are going back to that 90s nostalgia, Christmas lights, think Home Alone, kind of colored lights, because colored lights kind of went out.
And ornaments.
Yeah,
because a lot of times it's been, in fact, we did a tree, that Jimmy Sims helped. He did it all. Feathers and boas.
Yes. And the glitzy. And they can be like non-Christmas colors and lots of ribbon.
Yeah,
or,
turquoise.
Turquoise was very in.
But now I've seen a lot of decorations out there where just good old ornaments are kind of back.
Ornaments are back. The traditional tinsel is back also, where you put a ton of tinsel.
Okay.
I've got
the one thing I
ordered tinsel.
I don't flock.
I'm not a flock. No.
Because it's such a mess.
I'm a purist in that I want the green.
The part that was crazy growing up was my mom was a tinsel queen. She wanted tinsel on the tree.
Yes.
She put it on single strand at a time. And it took her days.
My mother, it must have been generational.
Yes, it was so weird. You couldn't just throw.
Because this is what's going to happen to
What year was your mom born?
1935.
My mom was 34.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same generation. Depression era. End of the Depression. Don't waste that tin.
Well, yeah.
That's right.
It might have had just a little bit, so you had to really place it carefully.
Everyone was curated. Every thought.
I would also imagine that the tinsel that your mothers were buying is not like the Amazon cheap stuff that I'm just buying, you know, to just kind of throw onto the tree.
It was a slightly heavier weight, but
Right. I'm sure it was crafted. The craftsmanship back then that everything went into.
Well, in the day, they didn't have to decorate a tree so you couldn't see the tree.
Yeah.
And today, it seems like if there's one little branch that you can see, we got to put something on it.
Yes.
You know, the whole tree has to be decorated.
I used to have a small 6-foot tree, and I put 10,000 lights on it one year, and so it was just like this glow. I think Luke just came out of my beard.
Trying to land a helicopter.
Yeah, so now we have a fake tree that came with the lights already on it.
Yeah.
So every year I reassemble it, and then I have to shake it a bit because some of the strands aren't working, but it comes back. So I got
Hey, do you ever back your tree into a corner so you just have to decorate the front?
Well, I was just going to
Celeste
say
backs
that.
everything into a corner.
So I actually have my tree goes in a corner in my formal living room, and there's a window. So we put it right in front of the window so you can see the tree from outside. So I don't usually put a ton of ornaments on that side, but all the lights are on it.
The formal living room that no one ever goes in.
And I'm like, don't go in that room. Take your shoes off. Don't sit on that couch.
Well, in all honesty, I set up the tree that had the lights on it, and my mom and Maria helped. Well, didn't help. They did it. They decorated it. But I have to tell you, they decorated the back as fully as the front, and the back is against a wall. And I'm like, why do you have so many ornaments? But I can't say anything because they actually took the time to do it. But it's like, over the next couple weeks, those ornaments are going to be making their way forward to fill in more of the front of the tree. Anyway, it's still not Christmas yet, so we shouldn't be talking about any of that. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
It is a short season, though.
It really is.
I don't blame you for I wish we had ours up, because by the time we get them up, it's probably going to be time to take them down.
Well, you want to hear a dark part of all of this? I figure, how many more Christmases does my mom have left? Let's get it up early so she can enjoy it more.
Yes, of course. Ernie,
so next year it'll be going up.
Kevin
in
says the same thing about me.
Right.
Anyway, outside of us, it's
I hope
Thanksgiving,
Kevin's watching us
Christmas
in the
coming up.
breakfast.
Remember the poll on YouTube while we go into the headlines. Celeste.
Well, this is something that has been on all of our radars, whether traveling or not. The airport.
No pun intended.
You like that?
Yeah.
The Federal Aviation Administration says it's preparing for the heaviest Thanksgiving air travel in 15 years, with over 36,000 flights expected to take off during the holiday period. Tomorrow, Tuesday, November 25th, will be the busiest travel day with more than 52,000 flights scheduled. The FAA said air traffic controllers will use a range of tools and traffic management strategies to keep flights moving safely through the national airport system. Travelers can find updated guidance, including airport status, packing rules and TSA screening tips on the FAA's holiday travel webpage. You can just go to faa.gov/holiday-travel. We should also have it up on our screen if you're watching us on YouTube. We want to hear about your plans. Are you traveling tomorrow, or maybe you're on the road right now? Did the news of complicated travel in this country alter your plans and how you are going to get to your holiday vacations? Give us a call, 713-440-8870.
You know how I said I never check about how the flights are going before I just go and on the wing and a prayer?
Yeah.
But I will tell you that stories about chaotic travel have made me not want to travel at all.
Yeah.
I did in college. I always had to go home for Christmas, and I'm a late night person, so I would always go the last flight of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got smart, I realized that's the worst flight to go on, the last flight of the day, because everything else that's been backed up for the whole day
Right.
pushes to that, and you're lucky if that flight gets out. So the number of times I've spent many hours on the floor in an airport, not passed out, just there on the floor sitting and waiting, has been numerous.
Let me chime in. I've talked about this before.
Yes.
My TSA app.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
My MY TSA app. Now that we're back in business with the federal government, it's up and running.
Okay.
And you can put whatever airport you want. You just go pick your airport. Right now at George Bush Intercontinental, there's an estimated TSA wait time of 30 to 45 minutes, and at Hobby 0 to 15.
Oh, that's
Okay.
good to
And
know.
it kind of gives you the busiest times of the day. So it's a really helpful app, mytsa.com. So I'll show you kind of. I'll put a camera on it.
Yeah. It'll be fun on Wednesday to just keep checking in to see how things get
How
further
things are
and further
going.
behind.
And you know what? In my humble weather opinion, it looks like your land of Chicago might be a little dicey on Wednesday if you're traveling Chicago or thereabouts.
Yeah.
There's a big storm that's going to be going through on Wednesday. And then there's maybe some slowdowns on the eastern seaboard. Other than that, the country looks pretty good.
And a difference in the way we travel now to how we used to is these ideas of hub cities. They didn't always used to be there. You had flights from one place to the other all over the map. And as finances and consolidation happen, you have to fly into here to fly out to there. So if hub cities have bad weather, it throws off the entire system. It's not just, Dallas has bad rain. No, everybody is affected because of this concept of hubs.
And when you're in line, it's 2 minutes of plane. So if your pilot says we're number 30 to take off, it's going to be an hour.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Whatever
not
they tell
know
you.
that.
And if they tell you where we are in line to take off, just multiply it by 2. That's how many minutes you're going to be sitting there.
What are your travel plans? Are you going out of town? Are you worried about all of this? Is this the reason you're not going out of town? Let us know. 713-440-8870. Okay. Want another story?
Yes.
This is a good one.
Yep.
You mean headline?
Headline. It's a story.
It's a story.
By the time I'm done with it, it'll be a story. Texas is back in using its 2025 congressional maps, at least temporarily. You got to keep track of the years on these to follow this story.
A lot.
After Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito granted the state of Texas emergency request to pause a lower court's ruling that had blocked the 2025 map. The lower court had determined that the new 2025 map likely violated the Constitution by engaging in racial gerrymandering, ordering the state, us, to revert back to the 2021 map for the 2026 elections.
Wild.
Following all the numbers, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton called the stay a victory, saying that his office will look forward to continuing to press forward in our case on the merits. Also, a little side note there, both sides have to have their arguments, their information all in by 4 o'clock today, our time, to the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court wants to know the different arguments, and they look like they're going to move very quickly on this one. It is called a shadow docket, so it doesn't have a full hearing unless they decide it needs that. So they'll make a decision and should issue a response relatively quickly. So what do you think about the new map coming back? That's the 2025 map. And what do you think the final outcome will be? Is the 2025 map racially gerrymandered? Seems like, according to the lower courts, that was the only option that was out there. It was so obvious. But it's moved on to the Supreme Court. 713-440-8870. What do you think, Frank?
Well, and don't you have to be registered to run by early December?
Yes.
December 8th, I think, is
and
the
so you
day.
have to
December
decide,
8th.
looking at these maps, whether you have a chance or not.
And I don't know why, I can't remember the name of it, but there is a policy, I don't think it's a law, it's a policy that says if it gets too close to an election, you can't make any shifts or changes. So the argument that the state is going to make is that we are too close to this election that you can't be playing. The map is the 2025 map. It may be unconstitutional. You'll decide that later, but we can't change it now. The other side's argument is, wait, we just had an election a couple weeks ago. How can now we be too close to that? When then would you ever be able to say you're far enough away from an election to?
Good point.
Yeah.
I think unfortunately what's going to happen is most people just tune this out. And that, we are following it very closely.
Yeah.
And
I'm a little more than
we're
most.
sitting. No, I think that there is a lot at stake here, from a historical standpoint, from a policy standpoint, from a government political standpoint, on not just Texas but on a national level on how this is playing out. And I think that unfortunately, what the people that this is going to matter to most, just stop here. You get news fatigue, and you're just like, just tell me. I'm not even going to go vote.
Wow.
That kind of
You might be
situation
right.
happens.
It's interesting. I don't know if you read anything about the federal court that was a 2-1 vote,
Right.
supporting the map or not supporting the maps. The one dissenter was the older judge who was appointed by Reagan.
Yep.
He's now 79 years old, and his diatribe it really got personal.
Oh, he was
It
upset.
wasn't based on the law.
He
It
was
wasn't
upset.
based on the Constitution. It wasn't based on previous laws that had been made. So I don't know if his position is going to matter as much as it is just going to. The Supreme Court's going to be the Supreme Court. I know
That's a good
Alito
point.
will support Texas, and so will Kavanaugh. I don't know about the rest of them, but I know they will.
Well, and the interesting thing, people are curious, Alito, because he's in charge of any challenges, questions that come up from this region. Each Supreme Court justice has certain courts they overlook. And so that's his. He could have just ignored it, and then it would have just stayed as the lower court had ruled. But I think in a case like this, it's going to have ramifications across the nation with other court cases, though the California redistricting map has gone up and been knocked down. So they are fine because they had elections for it. And so far theirs is moving ahead. So even if we have a dissension from the Supreme Court and they block us blocking the 2025 map, it really has little input on what happens in California.
Well, the whole
different
Voting Rights
structures.
Act, that's got to be determined, and that will help determine whether the whole racial input has any real standing.
Yeah, and we are getting quite a few emails. Alex says the 2025 maps were explicitly designed to circumvent the will of the voters come midterms. We also received another email from somebody who didn't put their name, so I'm not going to read it. Shocking. It moves to the kangaroo court, as President Biden said.
Yeah.
Well, you do wonder, I mean, if this is reversed by the Supreme Court, it looks to me like they are in Trump's pocket and that they are racist. That would be my opinion of them.
When you look at the arguments made by those challenging the 2025 map, according to the decision by this lower court, it seemed as though there was no other way to look at it. What had been articulated, what had been written, the fact who was involved with it, it felt very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. On the other side, they say no.
Yeah,
That's my argument.
I remember when the
side.
two highest voices in the land were the Supreme Court and Oprah Winfrey, and whatever she said or they said, we took for granted. I mean, that was it.
So has
And
Oprah
now-
chimed in on the maps?
And now
should ask her,
she
actually.
hadn't been on TV in a long time except for specials. But now you look at anything the Supreme Court does with a political slant, and
Yes.
that's very sad for our country.
And dangerous. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is very dangerous, and I don't know what we're going to do about it.
And unfortunately, we ran out of time for Frank's headline, which is
Right,
a
I don't want to
very
rush
good
into it,
one.
'cause we're gonna have
I'm
fun
not
with it
going to. I'm going to say
tomorrow?
tomorrow we are going to talk about Frank's headline, which is a phenomenal one. You're not going to want to miss that conversation right at the top of the 11 o'clock hour.
Keep
tomorrow.
in mind, today is Celebrate Your Unique Talent Day. So
unique
get ready to
talent.
find a unique.
I have nothing.
You have lots of
You don't have
talents.
any unique talents, Frank?
Unique?
Nothing?
No.
A little hidden talent?
Celeste, what's your hidden talent? Because we know all your public talents.
All right. Hidden talent. Well, I play the piano.
I didn't know that.
You play it well, or you just play at it?
No. I play the piano.
Heart and soul.
Yeah, I took piano lessons for a long time. I took voice lessons for a long time, and I did a lot of community theater in college.
Well,
nice.
So,
I'm waiting for your concert to come.
But I also have extreme stage fright when it comes to playing the piano. Extreme.
Well, I have no hidden talents. Mine are all on display here every day. So Celeste, take us out.
Coming up on Hello Houston, we'll talk with Houston City Council member Tarsha Jackson, who represents District B, about illegal dumping in the 5th Ward. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Lenny Ambrose from St. Arnold Brewing Company, proud supporters of Houston Public Media. Right now, with your $60 donation, you can choose tickets to News and Brews. This member-exclusive event takes place February 17th. Enjoy a pint, connect with fellow NPR fans, and meet the Houston Public Media newsroom in person. Select News and Brews tickets when you donate at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on News 88.7.
AI is becoming smarter without much help from humans, and that should worry us all.
AI might not hate us, and my prediction is it won't have any malice, but it might just decide to kill us once it has its own infrastructure base up and running, because we're just kind of annoying, kind of a nuisance.
My everything will be just fine until it isn't. That's next time on Think.
You can hear that tonight at 10 o'clock.
The GOP has been plagued by infighting for months. Those cracks are only growing deeper and more divisive as the party wrestles with anti-Semitism in its ranks, the saga over the Epstein files release, and bipartisan concerns about affordability. For the latest in our weekly series, If You Can Keep It, the fractures in the Republican Party and what they could mean for its future. That's next time on 1A.
Listen to 1A coming up today at 2 o'clock. Support comes from Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods, Texas family-owned and operated since 1962, offering wine, spirits, and gourmet bites, including whiskey pecan pie for the Thanksgiving holiday. SpecsOnline.com. The fun starts here. Tonight on Houston Public Media TV8, Ken Burns and Jeffrey Rosen discuss the essential themes of liberty, equality, democracy, and separation of powers. Watch A More Perfect Union tonight at 8 on TV8.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manouse, Celeste Díaz Schurman, and Frank Billingsley.
Before we get into our first topic today, Frank, you've got an update for us.
Yeah, tornado warning's been issued for northern Austin County and Waller County, the central part of Waller County, until noon. So about 33 minutes on this, a tornado warning. This is a strong storm. It hasn't been, it's radar indicated, so it may not actually happen, but there's a severe thunderstorm near San Felipe and near Sealy. It's moving northeast at 20 miles an hour, so just stay weather aware, especially if you are off to the west side.
Frank, thank you for that. On to something closer at home. Illegal dumping has become a major concern for Houston's 5th Ward, with piles of debris mounting and a new surveillance effort working around the clock. Residents are calling for stronger action and faster cleanup. Joining us now to discuss what's being done and what still needs to happen is Houston City Council member Tarsha Jackson, who represents District B, which includes the 5th Ward. Council member, welcome back to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And if folks want to join the conversation, you can call or text 713-440-8870.
So, Ms. Jackson, I saw the news stories. You were out there helping clean up.
Yes. District B deals with a lot of illegal dumping. The sources of our illegal dumping come from construction, tire shops, landscaping, evictions, and tenants. And so we've been tackling it across the entire district, not just 5th Ward. If y'all know, District B covers Acres Home, parts of Acres Homes. We have Greens Point. We have the Humble, all of the Northeast neighborhoods, Fifth Ward, Cashmere Garden, Trinity Garden, Houston Garden, Pleasantville, and we are overwhelmed with illegal dumping. So, but a couple of weeks ago, I was in Fifth Ward trying to tackle the excessive illegal dumping there, working with Clean Houston. That's Joe B. Allen. He brought a truck out. He saw my call and he was like, "Hey, I got a truck. I'm going to bring it out. I want to come help you." And so we identified a total of 35 piles throughout Fifth Ward of illegal dumping. We came out and we were only able to tackle 11 with his truck. And so, but the city followed up, the solid waste department followed up and helped us basically tackle all the piles that we had identified. And these were just the piles that was on the surface. It was more piles of illegal dumping that we hadn't put on that list. And so, but it's a major issue. I have 2 hot teams that consist of 8 people. Each team is 4 people, and we have trucks that they go through the district 5 days out of the week. I'm trying to tackle the illegal dumping, and this is manual labor. We don't have the trucks with the grapples. They have to do it with shovels and with their hands. And so we're working really hard to try to tackle the issue that's an illegal crime. Yeah, so that's what's going on in Fifth Ward and District B.
Why particularly Fifth Ward, do you believe, or is this a problem we're having across the city and just more of the focus is on Fifth Ward?
It's a problem across the city, but it's really bad in Fifth Ward. There's a lot of development happening. We see a lot of construction residue that's left over from rehabs, from new construction. And so one of the issues that I'm going to put forward with City Hall, it's an ordinance that will put a requirement that developers, any type of construction, they prove that they dispose of their waste properly, that they have a dumpster on site. So when they ask for when they apply for their permit, they have a fee attached to it, but they get that fee back in the end once they show that they properly disposed of their waste.
Ms. Jackson,
and so we have a lot of development, and it's really bad in Fifth Ward.
Have you considered, because you keep mentioning obviously illegal dumping, what about finding a place where you could have legal dumping and say, look, you want to take your construction stuff to this site and get a receipt for it to show us that you've taken it there, all good. But obviously you'd have to find that site. But has that been considered?
Right. It has been considered. Did talk with the previous solid waste director, Will Falk, made that recommendation. We have land in District B throughout Fifth Ward with the land bank that we can take that land and fence it off and put a dumpster there, because folks are having an issue driving to the dump locations. A lot of people don't know where the dump locations are at. And so, putting something like a transfer center. I know we have one on Jensen near Kelly, but that hasn't been, don't have an update on that. But a transfer center within the district, I think, will eliminate some of the illegal dumping, but not all of it. I mean, we have cameras out and really don't know the impact of the cameras because we're not getting reports. And so there are different avenues that the city is trying to take. But we're still dealing with the dumping.
And, Councilmember Jackson, you mentioned the cameras. From what I understand, there are 150 hidden cameras monitoring the hot spots. Law enforcement is actively working at giving citations and trying to find regular culprits for this. What else in your jurisdiction can you actually do besides making sure that these, law enforcement's doing what they can do? Your residents are also doing what they can do. What can you do to help?
I mean, again, we're using district service funds to pay up for 2 hot teams, introducing ordinances. We actually invest in flock cameras with HPD. And so as a district rep, I'm just the district rep. And so you have the mayor under Mayor Turner's administration. He invested millions into this One Clean Houston, but we are still grappling with illegal dumping. And so until we start looking at the mindset of people, it's people who are illegal dumping. And so actually as a representative, we can do what we can do, but we have to call on the residents to help, utilize the depositories. And of course, I believe that the city needs to increase the frequency of trash pickup because we only get trash pickup once a week. If a person missed that trash or having trash is not picked up, people start dumping their trash on top of that pile that has been sitting there for a week, which that contributes to illegal dumping as well.
And, Councilmember Jackson, you mentioned mindset. Do you think that there's something from an educational standpoint that could help people understand that you just don't throw your trash in somebody else's backyard.
I mean, I know the solid waste department have put door hangers on folks' doors. We can continue to educate, and I know the city is tired. The residents throughout the city is tired of the illegal dumping, and so we only can do what we can do. I know we increased the fines from 500 to 3,000. I think it was 500, but I know we increased that a couple of years ago. I actually had opportunity to visit Constable Alan Rosen command center. I mean, they have cameras. They have officers sitting there monitoring the cameras daily to try to catch people in the act of illegal dumping. So residents, we have to call on our residents. If you see something, say something. Get the lights in place, but we have to start holding people more accountable that's dumping in our neighborhoods, because it is a health hazard and it is getting out of hand.
Well, that was going to be my question. Are you able to track how many of these fines are actually being made on people who are illegally dumping? I mean, do we know?
And Customer Alan Rosen, I know that they're in the DA office. They are monitoring that. I don't have those figures in front of me, but I'm sure we can get that from the administrations.
You hit on this just a moment ago, but I'd like you to articulate it for the audience, the concerns that come from this illegal dumping. You said health hazards, but explain to people why this is a problem in communities when this happens.
So, for example, District B floods every time it rains. And so if we have illegal dumping that's in the ditches, which 88% of the open ditches are in my district, well, approximately 80%, but there's a lot of ditches in the district. When that water cannot flow down the canal into the bayous, what happened? It goes up into the houses, into the streets. And so it attracts illegal dumping, it attracts flooding, it attracts mosquitoes, standing water, which is, you can see the water with mosquitoes. It's just a health hazard and it's not good for our quality of life. And so, and we're spending millions on illegal dumping. I'm always talking to the constituents in District B. I'm like, we're spending half of 250,000 on a hot team that can be going towards beautification projects within our district. And so it's just, we're spending a lot of money on this issue that shouldn't be.
We are speaking with Houston City Council member Tarsha Jackson, who represents District B, about illegal dumping in 5th Ward. If you would like to join the conversation, you can call or text 713-440-8870. And Jacob is on the line from Montrose. Jacob, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you. Anyway, Ms. Jackson, here's my question. What about people from other areas of town going to your area of town and dumping because they think they can get away with it?
And we think that that's happening a lot. I mean, we're finding mail from other neighborhoods, from one side of town in our neighborhood. In fact, I had a constituent found a prominent lawyer's information in her property. They had dumped all his paperwork in her property. She didn't report it. I'm like, why didn't you report it? Obviously, he paid somebody to dump it, but instead of them dumping it properly, they just disposed it in a neighborhood. And so there's a lot of factors. People from the neighborhood probably know where the hot spots are at, been paid to dump. We deal with tires, so many tires, tire shops that are disposing them within our neighborhoods and not disposing them properly, the tires. And so there's people coming in our neighborhood and there's people within our neighborhoods that know where the hot spots are at. But that's why it's important for the residents, if you see something, say something. Let's get their license plates. Let's, record them, do what we can so that we can bring them accountable, make them accountable for what they're doing for our neighborhoods.
Yeah, let's be honest. You don't see a lot of illegal dumping in River Oaks. I mean, the affluent neighborhoods,
no, you don't.
They don't have this problem. And the city has to step up to be egalitarian about enforcement on this. So how can the city council just sit by and not really tackle this problem?
And we're not just sitting by.
I know you're not, but it seems like you're the only one out there picking up the trash from what I saw.
Yeah, and again, the problem, the majority of the problem is in District B. If you look through the city, there's a lot of development. Most of the development is happening in the Fifth Ward, in the Acres Homes, in the Northeast neighborhoods, because all these other neighborhoods are developed. Montrose, Galleria is developed. And so that's one of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of the construction. But most important, again, we got cameras out there. I don't know the impact of the cameras because I still haven't got a report, and I'm going on record on that because I've been asking for reports, and I know Councilmember Thomas as well has asked for reports. And so, but we as council members have to rely on the federal government, our mayor, state legislators to do what they can to help us tackle this issue. So
let me.
And another thing, I was looking at an article. I'm doing some, searching on what previous council members did before me. They was dealing with the same issue. I saw the article in 2011 with Jerry Davis standing in front of a trash pile, dealing with illegal dumping. And so, how do we tackle the issue? And I'm to the point. I just got to the point where we need people to pick up the Bible and read the Bible.
Amen.
It says,
let me ask
follow
this
the laws of the land.
and see if you can walk me through this part of it. If folks, I assume, are illegally dumping because it's easier just to go there and dump, where we have a city dump. We have city dumps. We have locations all over the city. But I even know for myself, I never even want to go to the city dump because it's always a long line of cars. I always have to find the right paperwork to prove that this is the right dump for me to be dumping in. By the time I usually get up there, it turns out something in the load I'm dumping doesn't belong at this dump. You got to go to a different. Is there a way to make dumping in the city at the official sites easier and more convenient and less wait times, which would encourage people to do the legal process as opposed to skip all that? I'm just going to go dump over here.
Yeah, simplify the process. When I first got in office, I pulled a committee together, which is our Environmental Justice Committee, and we came up with some recommendations. Some of the recommendations was remove the barriers where requiring that you have a driver's license that match a bill in order to dump there.
Right.
Extend the hours because they were only open, the depositories were only open, I think, 4 days. We had it extended a couple of more days and changed the hours that it was open so when people get off from work, they can dump, or before they go to work, they can dump.
Right.
But of course, all that's been rolled back with the not saying with the new administration, but it's still on the site. I see that they haven't changed it much. But simplifying it, putting more people at the dump site so that the line is not, because I'm hearing people wait for quite some time and they get up and they get turned around because they're over capacity with the trash. And so I believe simplifying it, but then also those transfer centers is really going to change a lot of the, making it, that would make it simple for people to dump. If we had transfer centers, I really believe more transfer centers in the city would do that because the city is too big. I was talking to a resident. She had trash piled up in her garage because she didn't know what a depository was. And she just said, I'm done with it. And so really simplifying it, making sure residents know where the depositories are at. And then again, I think transfer centers throughout the city will help mitigate some of the illegal dumping.
Yeah, like Celeste said, education is a key part of this.
Yes, I do think education is absolutely key. Now, Council Member Jackson, I did want to ask you, we understand Council Member Letitia Plummer drafted a proposal that would allow police officers to decide whether or not to call immigration and customs enforcement during traffic stops. Is this something that you are, backing and partnering with, or what are your thoughts in regards to law enforcement working with ICE?
Yeah, in fact, Councilmember Plummer, I made a comment on Wednesday about me supporting any type of policy that will, give police officers the discretion. I did a lot of work around 287G. I don't know if you guys know, I was the county director at Texas Organizing Project. And our Right to Justice platform was ending ICE and police collaboration. We were able to get that advanced after in 2017 under Ed Gonzalez. And so, yes, I support it. I know that there's other policies that prohibit the city from putting things in place that will, override there's a state legislative policy, but I support any ordinance that will, protect our residents, to protect the ones that's living in the city, that's working really hard, that's not, any ordinance that's not going to divide families. I want families to be able to be together feel safe and not afraid to go to the grocery store. So
Well,
yes, I would support that. Or as I said, I was going to review it and see what changes need to be made to it or what additions. But other than that, yeah, I would support it.
I think I read that in some cases, people that, let's say, are in a car accident, they are calling ICE on the person that they were in the car accident with.
Mm-hmm.
And so ICE gets there at the same time the police get there. And now who has ultimate authority? How are we going to solve that? And I know that's a loaded question. We probably don't have a quick answer.
Yeah, it's a loaded one.
Yeah, it is. It is. But is it something you're aware of? Is it something you're aware of?
I'm aware that people are calling ICE on folks. I'm aware that people are weaponizing this whole situation. And so, but at the end of the day, as a council member, what I can do is, try to support an ordinance that's going to limit, not put a burden on HPD, because we already got a whole lot of other issues. We need them out tackling illegal dumping, or, really fighting crime. And so anything that's going, and I know the HPD don't want to collaborate with ICE. I know that they want to do their job. And so, so whatever ordinance, the ordinance that was introduced, I support it in the form that it's in. But like I said, I'm gonna have to review it and see. I hear Texas Civil Rights Project says it doesn't go farther enough. So really collaborating with the experts, the advocates, and see, what can we put forward that's going to make sure our residents feel protected and just know that the city is behind them and supporting them during this time.
Houston City Council member Tarsha Jackson represents District B. Thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to talk about keeping the peace with family members during the holidays. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
Zamarodi, and our world is changing so fast. On the TED Radio Hour, we invite innovators, researchers, and activists to unpack those changes with us.
Just about all companies are becoming technology companies or technology-enabled companies.
Listen to the TED Radio Hour from NPR every week for conversations that will deepen your understanding of our changing world.
The TED Radio Hour, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on News 88.7.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Metro, introducing Metro Downtown Direct, helping riders get home for the holidays with non-stop service between downtown and Bush Intercontinental Airport. Details at ridemetro.org/500.
Support comes from Theater Under the Stars, bringing you a forecast snowy white with Irving Berlin's Broadway musical White Christmas. On stage at the Hobby Center December 9th through Christmas Eve. Tickets available at tuts.org.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manouse, Celeste Díaz Schurman, and Frank Billingsley.
Thanksgiving is nearly here, and one tradition associated with the holiday that isn't related to eating food or watching sports is getting into family arguments. Whether it's arguments over politics or dealing with difficult family members, the holiday has become synonymous with uncomfortable family gatherings for some people. Here to share her thoughts on how we can navigate awkward conversations and avoid arguments altogether this Thanksgiving is Audrey Omenson, a licensed counselor in Houston and the owner of the Therapy Collective. Audrey, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hello, Celeste. Thanks so much, y'all, for having me.
Absolutely. And if you would like to join the conversation or you have a question for Audrey, you can give us a call or send us a text, 713-440-8870.
I mean, this is a real thing. Audrey, what's like the biggest concern that you hear this time of year as we head into Thanksgiving?
I mean, a lot of it is the political piece. You
Yeah.
have a lot of different family members coming together and just some of the tension that can come from that. But then you also have all the standard family dynamics that can happen throughout the year. Maybe you grew up with them, whatever. You're getting a lot of different people who have been living lives in their own corners of the world, and they're all coming in together to be together. And there can be great things that can happen with that, but there can also be a lot of complex things that happen with that.
Well,
sure.
by now, you should pretty much know everyone's politics. I mean, we've been at this since 2016. So knowing that Uncle Fred feels entirely different than you do politically, how do you just take a big kumbaya breath and go at it, or do you arm yourself with every fact you can? Which is the better way?
Well, I have to say, I don't think anyone has ever been convinced to change their mind when they were angry. So
yeah,
I'm not sure going into change minds is the best approach. So there's a lot of other options besides just holding your tongue. But yeah, some deep breaths can be helpful sometimes, for sure.
How do you set boundaries? That's the hardest thing in the world. It is. That's the most important.
It is.
It's so difficult.
Yeah. Well, one thing I always like to say is I feel like the word boundaries has intense connotations to it. Like, I need to draw a line in the sand. This is it. I'm saying the thing finally, but most boundaries, we're doing it all the time. And a lot of the time it is just preference negotiation. Right. So like you're talking with someone else. Hey, what time do you want to meet for dinner? I can get there by 6. I have to work late. I can't get there till 6:30. Is that okay? Yeah, sure. We can make it work. Right. So like a lot of things are just preference negotiation. And a lot of the time when it's more neutral topics, we're able to do it. And we might not even realize that that's technically what we're doing. So boundaries exist on a spectrum. They can be very soft boundaries. Like, hey, I prefer to get burgers for dinner, but if you're really craving something else, like I'm open to a different idea. And maybe you really do mean that, but, it can also obviously range to like, hey, this person is a really harmful person. They've been physically harmful to me or someone I care about. I don't want to be in a space with them anymore. Right. So, and like not interacting with them at all. So there's a big range of options, and often starting with the softer ones, obviously with exceptions if someone was actively and overtly harmful to you. But when it's more just misunderstanding, starting with the lighter, softer ones, and then getting more intense or firmer or clearer over time, kind of depending on if that person heard you, if they keep ignoring it, whatever. But the other thing I would say about boundaries is at the end of the day, the boundary is for you. It's not for the other person. So that means if I'm sitting next to someone and they keep poking me in the arm, I can say, hey, could you stop? That's annoying. They could keep poking me in the arm. Like sometimes people might hear it and be like, oh yeah, sorry, I just thought it was bit, but I'll stop. Right. But other people might sit there and keep poking me in the arm. Well, if I continue to sit there and I'm like, hey, stop, and they keep doing it, it's my job to stand up and walk away. Right. So also thinking about the boundary piece of like, what's my preference? What will work best for me? And then also, what is the follow through that I'm willing to take to make sure that this happens for me in the way that it needs to? There might be some stuff where it's like, I prefer it this one way, but it's not a huge deal if it doesn't go that way, and that's fine. But there might be some other things that are really, really important of, hey, I'm not going to get roped into staying at a family member's house for 12 hours that day. Or if someone tries to bait me into a conversation that I don't want to be in, I'm going to just get up and go walk away. Maybe I send a text ahead of time and like let everyone know some expectation that I'm going to, of how I'm going to show up for that day or something like that. Right. So there's a lot of options. There's a big range of soft to more firm boundaries. And then also really checking in with yourself of what do I have the energy and the bandwidth to follow through on? What am I being honest with myself about what I'm willing to put up with, what I can handle, what I can't handle? And if I need to communicate anything to anyone, how can I do that and be at least as clear as I can be on some of those things? if it's necessary.
And, we're talking about day of boundaries. And a lot of this does sound kind of that self-talk that you're talking about, setting your expectations, what kind of boundary you want for yourself. Audrey, it is still Monday and we have a couple of days. What about somebody who right now is like, I've already set a boundary that I'm not going to be with my family? What are some things that people can hold on to if they're deciding that they're going to celebrate their Thanksgiving in a different way?
Going to the Omni.
Yeah, well,
right. Like,
oh, yeah.
There are some people that leading up to Thursday, it's like, this is too much, or they might not have family, or maybe they set a boundary a long time ago about not necessarily being with certain people, and they feel pressure now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, just because it's happened one way in the past does not mean you are obligated for it to continue happening like that in the future, right? So if there's a change that you need to make, it could be, hey, I don't want to be around these people, or it might just be, I'm spending this one day with someone else. I'd love to see y'all on a different day for Thanksgiving, right? So there can be a lot of options with all of that, but just reminding yourself that I'm allowed to have my own opinion on a thing. I'm allowed to care for myself in a way that feels valuable and important for me. And also at the end of the day, the only person having to actually live my life and the impact of my choices on my life is me. So there might be people who respond in different ways and maybe guilt you or get more intense. And you probably have an idea of who those people are going to be in your life if you're going into something like this. So it's also just knowing, hey, some of the guilt may be there. Maybe some of their comments get to me, and I can still choose the thing that helps me take care of myself if setting, doing something completely different away from the family.
We have spouses. Sometimes you have to negotiate a little bit with your spouse about, I don't want to go there this year, or I'll go, but I'm not going to talk to her. Or
sometimes you always set these boundaries in my head. I am the youngest child of 3, and, I'm spending it with my family. And it's funny how there have been times where I'm a grown woman with my own children, but if my sister says, Les, go get me something, I'd be like, okay. And I would just get up and go do it.
Because you always did.
There's like these triggers that we have when we get around family that sometimes
and they're annoying you.
Are not that harmful, but they are annoying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nothing like being around the family you grew up with to make you suddenly exactly like your 14-year-old
exactly
self again. So
Leonardo DiCaprio takes out the garbage, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
No matter how rich and famous
you get. That's a really common thing for everyone. Yeah.
What about as we go a little past Thanksgiving and the day after, the whole Black Friday crowds, stress. Now we're at Christmas. Oh my God, my Christmas shopping hasn't even started. I haven't put my tree up. How do you deal with the anxiety on Friday of everything that comes at you?
Yeah.
Well, you can't do all of it that one day. You can't do all of it in one day. It's impossible, right? So everyone's going to handle it differently. Some people make a list, some people delegate, some people do all kinds of things. But one thing I'll say is you can't do all of it that day. And also, again, just because you did it one way last year does not mean you have to do it the same way this year, right? So sometimes with some of my clients, if they're really feeling the overwhelm, it might be like, hey, maybe you simplify. Talk with your partner, talk with your kids. Each of you can share one tradition that you do in December that you really like. And y'all can prioritize those few things, and the rest, we just don't have to do it.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly.
Audrey Omenson is a licensed professional counselor. Audrey, again, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, we'll continue diving into today's top stories. We'll also break down President Trump's rolling back of food tariffs and what this means for Americans. Stay with us for the second hour of Hello Houston.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way with Ernie Manouse, Celeste Díaz Schurman, and Frank Billingsley. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Discover what inspires some of the world's most creative people.
Getting to know my culture has helped me understand that there is an importance in the past and our traditions.
The Arts Hour is your weekly showcase of the best global arts and culture.
Space for adventurous people to do imaginative things.
That sounds amazing.
The Arts Hour from the BBC.
Fridays at 9 p.m. on News 88.7. Support comes from Children's Museum of Houston, presenting Faithful Friends, an exhibit fostering connection, curiosity, understanding, and friendship. Families explore other cultures through the eyes of Houston kids. More at cmhouston.org.
Showers and thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Today's high 83. Currently it's 82. This is your NPR station, KUHF, Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia has announced that she plans on resigning from Congress in January before her term is up. We'll discuss this and more as we continue diving into today's top stories. I'm Frank Billingsley.
And I'm Ernie Manouse. We'll also talk with Margaret Kidd from the University of Houston's Cullen College of Engineering, who will discuss President Trump's decision to roll back food tariffs, the ones he initially ordered.
And I'm Celeste Díaz Schurman. Plus, Elisha Beach, founder of the online community, the Mom Forum, is redefining self-care for moms in her new book, Balance is BS, The Truth About Motherhood and Self-Care.
And we want to hear from you. Give us a call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. You can also watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. The indictments against two of President Trump's most prominent critics, former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, are being dismissed. Today, a federal judge found that Lindsay Halligan, the acting U.S. attorney who secured indictments against them, was unlawfully appointed. The cases were dismissed without prejudice, meaning the Justice Department may be able to bring those cases again. President Trump selected his former personal lawyer to serve as acting U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia after he pushed out the previous top prosecutor who had expressed doubts about bringing charges against both Comey and James. The Pentagon says it is investigating Senator Mark Kelly for possible military law violations. The former astronaut had recently joined a group of congressional Democrats who also had military or intelligence backgrounds to tell U.S. service members they do not have to follow illegal orders. But President Trump viewed their message as a call to defy him as commander-in-chief and call them traitors. The president touted big progress on peace talks to end the war on Ukraine ahead of a Thanksgiving deadline, but NPR's Frank Ordonez reports Trump is also cautioning his supporters to not believe it until you see it.
President Trump said, quote, "Something good just may be happening," in a social media post this morning after receiving a report on the weekend talks in Geneva. A joint statement between the U.S. and Ukraine was released, stating that their original 28-point plan had been updated and refined. Both the United States and Ukraine say more work is needed and express cautious optimism about the direction. The early version included several measures that Ukraine has repeatedly rejected, including giving up territory it controls, shrinking its military, and ruling out NATO membership. Franco Ordonez, NPR News, the White House.
Former NBA players Chauncey Billings and Damon Jones were scheduled to be arraigned today on gambling charges that prosecutors say involved the mafia. NPR's Quill Lawrence has the latest from New York.
Federal investigators claim it's one of the most brazen corruption schemes since online betting became widely legal in the United States. Among the dozens indicted last month are Portland Trail Blazers coach and Basketball Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups, the Miami Heat's Terry Rozier, and former Cleveland Cavalier player and assistant coach Damon Jones. The FBI alleges they took part in sports betting and rigging high-stakes poker games with help from the Cosa Nostra crime families. Some of the alleged fraud involved confidential information about players' injury status and bets on small details like when a player would leave a game, which allowed gamblers in the know to make millions. All three men have denied any wrongdoing. Quill Lawrence, NPR News, New York.
U.S. stocks are trading higher this hour. The Dow is up nearly 300 points. This is NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. Millions of Texans are on the move this week for Thanksgiving. AAA says a record number of motorists will be on the road. DPS Trooper Sergeant Stephen Woodard says excessive speed is still the biggest safety issue on the highway.
We haven't had a deathless day here in the state of Texas since November the 7th, 2000. That's the last time we had a deathless day right here in the state.
Now, according to AAA, the busiest days for motorists are tomorrow and Wednesday. Return travel is also expected to be heavy on Sunday. Police are trying to sort out the details of a shootout in southwest Houston. HPD Assistant Chief Yasser Bashir says officers were called to an area just inside the Beltway on Vandalia Way Saturday morning.
Upon arrival, they located 6 individuals with gunshot wounds. 5 or more were transported to our local hospital and ambulances, and some of them also self-transported.
He says multiple people were shooting at each other after an altercation at a large gathering. A woman was killed in the crossfire. The condition of the other victims is unknown. Republican Congressman Wesley Hunt says he's not going to drop out of the race for U.S. Senate. Hunt says he's been pressured by party leaders to leave the race for fear his presence could force a costly runoff. Senator John Cornyn is in a tough battle for re-election with Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. The 44-year-old Hunt is currently polling a distant third. Checking your weather? Keep the rain gear handy. 40% chance of rain this afternoon, a high of 85. 80% chance of showers tonight with a low of 67, and a slight chance of showers on Tuesday with a high of 79. Right now, it's mostly cloudy, 82 degrees on the UH campus. I'm Tom Perumian. News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Charles Schwab, offering investors choices like full-service wealth management, advice, investing, and trading on Thinkorswim. Learn more at schwab.com. And from the Doris Duke Foundation.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston with Ernie Manouse, Celeste Díaz Schurman, and Frank Billingsley.
And we are back with you for the second hour of Hello Houston. If you missed the first hour, you missed a lot, but do not fear. There's a lot more still to come this hour. We are just getting some breaking news in here. The federal judge has dismissed the indictments against former FBI Director James Comey of New York and Attorney General Letitia James on Monday. The judge found that the appointment of the interim U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan in Alexandria, Virginia was invalid. Kind of fascinating, huh?
Are you shocked?
I don't mean to laugh like that. I'm not shocked by anything anymore, Frank Billingsley.
Well, that's true, but I think we all knew that this was not going to play. That this appointment of this person as an U.S. attorney, what she done like real estate law or something?
Yeah, the way she was picked and put into place had questions surrounding it, and the whole thing. So
yes.
There was also a little news also in the top of the hour about Wesley Hunt, and we heard part of it and got confused. He has been asked to drop out of the race, but he rejects that he is stepping out of the race.
He says he's promised to stay
in it. In his case, in it to win it, so to speak.
That's right.
So.
And in weather news, there's now a tornado watch for the area, and that's until 7 o'clock tonight. We had that tornado warning that expired without actually producing a tornado, which doesn't surprise me. They don't, obviously, but that expired at noon. But there's a watch, just because whenever, November, a lot of people don't realize November is our secondary tornado season here in Southeast Texas, after February being our primary. But as as summer lets go to winter, and when winter lets go to spring. That
sounds like the beginning of a song there.
I know. It's
very poetic.
Where are Peter, Paul, and Mary when I need them? This is it's just the juxtaposition of the two different kinds of air masses, the warm, humid air mass and the very cold, dry air mass, and that really sets the stage. And the jet stream starts to dip lower and lower, and that's also part of the equation.
And if we learned anything from this summer, we need to stay vigilant in regards to paying attention to the differences between mornings and watches and making sure we follow through with these. So thank you, Frank.
Yeah. So this is a watch. Just be weather aware, as we say.
Another thing we've been keeping an eye on, we had a poll going over on our YouTube about what really excites you the most about Thanksgiving. Surprising, in our crowd, we had 0% voted for football and the couch. We had a tie for the day off, I need a break, and I'm ready for the food. And after our last segment in the last hour, spending time with family and friends won what people are most looking forward to.
So we can argue.
We can argue. No, we actually just had a great conversation.
Now you know how to handle it.
Yes, we just had a great conversation with Audrey Omenson. And, I think it's interesting. She did point out so much of what I felt like her message was that you can hold yourself accountable. That's number one thing, is that you're talking to yourself and understanding what feels right is most important at the end of the day.
Don't let yourself get baited.
Exactly.
That's where a lot of people, I think, go wrong. It's like, well, you've put on weight since I saw you last.
Yes.
Or I guess you cooked this pie that looks awful.
And this is the thing about family is they know all
our triggers.
Our triggers. They know exactly which buttons to push that will just, really get under your skin. You're like, actually, I did cook that pie.
Yeah, my sister knows them all.
Yes.
Well, we were talking earlier about our hidden talents. I don't know how hidden this is among my family, but it may come as no surprise to those who know me well. I can have an acid tongue. I can be very quick and very sharp with the retort that after the fact I look back and was like, ooh, I went too far on that one.
Yeah.
I do that when I get into a fight. It's like that cat that's cornered and so it comes out at you.
We may have seen that once or twice.
I mean, I've never seen that with Ernie Manouse ever. Really? Ernie, No.
So I guess it's not a hidden talent.
Do you know one tradition that I absolutely love that we have not talked about? The New York City Macy's Day Parade.
It's a little threatened by the high winds on the storm that's going to make travel difficult in Chicago. On Wednesday. Is the storm that's going to make it difficult for the parade on Thursday.
As long as it's not raining. But I love that has become a tradition. My dad always watched it. He loved it. And I watch it. Now Evelyn.
Of course,
and
it's
I
NBC.
Watch it. Oh, that's right. It's
ding,
NBC.
Ding, ding.
I watch only PBS in my house.
Oh.
Have you all seen the video that went around of Barney in the parade? So years ago, it was very windy and really rough during the Thanksgiving Day parade, and all the children are watching the Barney balloon come down the street in the wind, and they're fighting to hold on to it, and it gets hit by a light post, and it rips open its side. And you see, they call it the death of Barney. You can see the video online, and Barney going down and kids screaming. Oh, it's terrible.
I love it.
So let's watch out and make sure nothing happens with those floats this year. In response to if I watch it or not, what you were asking me earlier, it's on. I have to have it on, but I don't really know that I watch it.
No, see,
it's like football a lot of times.
Yeah.
I like football being on, even if I don't even know the teams that well. And just energy. The energy is good.
It's the energy. And that's just become one of my things, like to have my nice cup of coffee and getting ready for Thanksgiving. And yes.
It's a nice way to start the day with something. It starts so early here, though.
It's 7:30.
Yeah, it's like that's an early
7:30 to 11 a.m. on NBC.
Yeah. And they run it again. They repeat it. Anyway.
Well, we're having a Friendsgiving this year, so I'm excited about it.
Oh, you found some friends. That's nice.
Give your friends.
And that way you spread the cost that way, because I know we're going to be talking about the headline, or one of the headlines is going to be about all the tariffs and rolling them back for at least some food products.
Yeah, people are noticing that when they go to the grocery store to get their Thanksgiving feast groceries done. You know what else caught a lot of people's attention? You know, they talk about in politics all the time, the Friday surprise. We had a Friday surprise this week, Celeste.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Georgia Republican, abruptly announced on Friday that she would resign from Congress effective January 5th. Greene became a household name in the run-up to the 2020 election for divisive rhetoric, political stunts, and her consistent defense of President Donald Trump. The Georgia Republican said it would not be fair to her Northwest Georgia district, one of the most conservative in the country, to have them, quote, endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president we all fought for, unquote. She also said, Republicans will likely lose the midterms. Greene's split with Trump widened in recent weeks as she pushed for the release of the documents related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. For months, Greene had been publicly pressing Trump and top Republicans in Congress to release all files from 2 federal investigations into Epstein. She was part of a small group of Republicans who helped force a vote on the House floor to release the files, a process that drove the president to reverse his position on the documents and led to near unanimous support for the measure this week. What are your thoughts on MTG leaving? Good or bad for the Republicans? Now is the time to join us on Hello Houston, 713-440-8870.
It was a big surprise for me who loves to watch politics. Quite unexpected.
So what do you think her end game is, Ernie? I mean, I felt like she won. She stood up to Trump. She got his reversal on the Epstein files. It all went sailing through the House and the Senate to the president's desk. And I felt like finally I agreed with her. I mean, in the last 5 years, I haven't agreed with a lot, but I agreed with that.
To be clear, from her point of view, she says that she has not shifted on her political stance. She simply says that it was Trump who moved away from the party and that he has not maintained and been consistent with his America First conservatism. So she's basically
absolutely
saying
right.
that it is Trump,
Yeah,
well,
America is not first when you're traveling all over the world trying to solve all the problems of the world.
And she started, and that's, it started with multiple things that she's mentioned.
And he was all about the Epstein files, and then he said, "Oh no, it's a hoax," and and she was like, "Wait, that." Speaking about boundaries, that was her line in the sand, and she said, "This is one place I am not going to cross to the Trump world over this issue," and didn't. And as I said, won. So what's her end game? Why is she now suddenly?
Because you have politicians who will set a line. I mean, that's politics, right? That will say, I'm drawing this boundary. This is something that, we're going against. But to resign?
Now's when she should stay.
She also is resigning midterm. Or in her term, not midterm, but in her term. So it's not like she decided just not to run for re-election, so she was going to live out her term. That's surprising to me in there. The infighting, the battling, we don't know what was said behind the scenes. We don't know. She definitely, even if Trump is out there saying, I wish her well, blah, 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 she turned on. Who knows what those behind the scenes discussions were. An interesting, very interesting poll came out by CNN this morning, in which, and if I have it right, I'm trying to pull it up, but I don't have it in front of me, but I have the percentage right, of those self-identifying as Republicans, 87% approval rating for Trump right now, which we hear so much about his approval rating dropped and being so low. What's pulling it down is Democrats and independents. But as far as his party, he is still very much in the plus column at 87% approval rating. The two previous presidents, Biden and Obama, at this point in their second terms, were both down in the 70s. I think they were both at 78% approval rating. So he was pretty high up there.
Yes. Let's head.
Well, let me add one other point to this,
I want to ask
too.
you a question real quick.
And the talk of her being primaried. In this poll that came out today, they looked at how influential Trump is, because we hear a lot about his fading glory, how strong he is with his endorsements. He's up in the 95 plus or 95 area of endorsement success rate. So if he's going to primary you and he says to Marjorie Taylor Greene, well, I'm going to find another candidate to run against you, odds are in Trump's favor, not the candidate's favor.
That just seems like still.
Isn't that surprising?
It's surprising, but for somebody to actually resign on such speculation, to me, there has to be much more than just.
Do you think she could run for Georgia's Senate?
Well,
is it too late to file? It's not, is it?
I don't know that. I do know she has said that she wasn't planning to do that. Not governor. She laughs at the idea of running for president. But how many times have we heard candidates?
Two Democrats are Georgia's senators right now. Right. And it's supposedly the one coming up is a little vulnerable.
713-440-8870. We're going to do it in chorus.
Sean from Texas 99 Toll Road is on the line. Sean, welcome to Hello Houston.
Good morning. How are you all today?
Good.
What are you thinking, Sean?
So with as far as Marjorie Taylor Greene,
Yeah.
I don't think she's down about 20 points in her polling. That's the reason that Trump stepped on her toes there. I don't think she's really votable back within the MAGA conservative movement. She has some unpopular issues, and like you said, it's easy enough for Trump to step on her feet and primary her, being that his base so strongly supports him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did vote for Trump. I do support a lot of this stuff, not everything, and I think that goes with every president. I was a once voting Democrat for many years, switched back in 2016, actually. So I think she's lost a lot of her popularity. She says like most politicians, they say things that they probably shouldn't sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Trump says a ton of stuff I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it he follows through with, some he doesn't, but I don't really think she's down 20 points in the polling. So I think it was actually a smart move on his part. He doesn't want to lose that seat, so why not go on and get her out of there? If she chose to run for something else, she could. I don't think she'd ever be votable as president, her personally.
Yeah, I wonder if she's going to go more of the Sarah Palin route, where you step out while you're still in the zeitgeist, and then you parlay it into maybe a television position or some kind of exalted blogger thing, podcaster.
She is doing a lot of media right now, and on CNN, on a lot more other outlets,
middle or liberal outlets she's been on. Another point thank you very much, Sean, for your thoughts on that. Another interesting piece of speculation is the choice of when she has decided to step out. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, has tweeted that, interesting, the timing of her departure, just 1 to 2 days after her pension kicks in. So
But I don't blame her for that. That just shows she's smart.
She waited, she wants out now, but she's going to wait until she gets her pension.
She's still got to wait until she's 62 to get it. It's not like it's an instant pension, and she only qualifies for so much pension. I don't think it's enough to live on. She hasn't developed them. I mean, it's like our pension.
But the thing is that she's not leaving now. She's not leaving for the holidays. She's waiting till pension kicks in. Yeah,
I mean, I don't blame her for that.
It's kind of fascinating though, the whole thing. But I do think she's not going to disappear. I don't believe.
I'm kind of sad to see her go, honestly, because now that she's like really stepped up and put it back at him. We have another call, by the way. Roberto from the Museum District. Roberto, welcome to Hello Houston. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Frank, you like political fireworks, don't you?
I do.
I am so glad because of this.
Okay.
Nothing personal against her, nothing. She's a strong person. She has her convictions. That's fantastic. But this is hopefully the beginning of the falling apart of the Republican Party under Trump. I am fiscal conservative and social liberal, so I'm kind of both. And actually, I called in today on C-SPAN because there was a guy on Independent Party, and I'm for that too, Independent Party. Let's get a third choice. But anyway, I think it's great news only because I'm hoping it's the beginning of the end of Trump, and I hope eventually he'll resign too. Wouldn't that be great? All right, that's it.
Thank you very much, and thank you for wrapping yourself up, Roberto.
I will say this. I don't know if you read Alyssa Milano's open letter to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
No.
It's scathing, and it's true. Every word of it has been documented. She basically says, no, girlfriend, all you've done to support Trump, you got us where we are today. The misery that you're complaining about is your fault. So don't now say, I'm clutching my pearls and I can't believe that this man turned on me.
Basically,
because he turns on everyone that disagrees with him, and you helped create him.
You made your bed, sleep in it.
Alyssa Milano, you can Google it, but it's quite the open letter to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And we did receive a text. This person says, I'm Mars in Midtown Houston. I'm proud of Marjorie for waking up. This will encourage others to follow their conscience. I believe all of those numbers of Trump being popular among Republicans is the real fake news. Mars in Midtown.
I will say this. Our congressman from out in the Dallas area, Jasmine Crockett, said, "You're on the other side of the president for 1 week and you can't take the heat? Imagine what it is to sit in my shoes, not only be on the opposite side of him, but to have people like her who are constantly fanning the flames of hate. And imagine what those threats look like when you literally are someone like me." So no love lost there from her.
And Deal Hunter M1 said, something we love about MTG is she is not scared to say the truth and dare mention Israel. And Larry Houston, Texas says, maybe MTG will end up on the next season of Dancing with the Stars. That's for
Last
sure.
thing in all of this, though, outside of the humor, the snarkiness, the back and forth battling, there could be some, and I've heard her talk about this, and there may be some truth to it, and we've mentioned it on the show before. Seeing the assassination of Charlie Kirk touched her in a way that maybe she realized the impact of this negative speech and she wanted out.
Maybe.
Celeste rolled her eyes at me on that one.
Sorry,
Celeste isn't
I
buying
think that we had last summer, we saw elected officials that were murdered that were Democrats, and there was no word from her. And
That's a very good point.
The way I see it is, sorry, MTG.
You're
I'm
going to
not
love
fooled.
Alyssa Milano's open letter.
Yep, not fooled. Coming up on Hello Houston, we'll talk with Margaret Kidd, adjunct professor at the University of Houston's Cullen College of Engineering, about President Trump's decision to roll back food tariffs he initially ordered. This is News 88.7.
Hi, I'm Michael Schaefer. My partner Ellen and I have been proud supporters of public radio and TV for decades.
We really would be lost without our daily fix of unbiased national and local news, cultural programming, and great entertainment.
But with recent federal defunding, stations like Houston Public Media face real challenges.
Now's the time to step up.
Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org.
Thank you.
This week on This American Life, a teacher hands her class a white cardboard box. It's closed. They can shake it, but they can't open it. They have to guess what's inside. And then she takes the box away.
And I get sick when I'm wondering. You get sick? I'm allergic to wondering. I'm allergic to wondering.
Stories of people who just want to know. This week.
You can hear it Wednesday night at 9 o'clock.
Houston Matters is your essential daily guide to the people, places, issues, and ideas that define Greater Houston.
These counties have been growing a lot.
I think what has been holding us back is the fact that for 2 legislative sessions, schools didn't really get an increase in funding.
If the storm surge comes up the ship channel, that's a nightmare.
There's an acceptance at cons that you don't get elsewhere. No judgment, and it's beautiful.
I'm Craig Cohen. Join us for the next Houston Matters, weekday mornings at 9 here on News 88.7.
Support comes from Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods, Texas family-owned and operated since 1962, offering wine, spirits, and gourmet bites, including whiskey pecan pie for the Thanksgiving holiday. SpecsOnline.com. The fun starts here. Support comes from the Welcome Group and Welcome Wilson Jr., President and CEO. With over 9 million square feet of manufacturing and industrial facilities and over 130 locations in Texas and the Southeast. More at welcomegroup.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manouse, Celeste Díaz Schurman, and Frank Billingsley.
Have you seen those grocery prices? Oh my gosh, coffee at $15. It's just really gone crazy. But as we prepare for Thanksgiving, the White House has rolled back a few of those duties on a lot of the food imports in an effort to ease grocery prices. The shift comes as debates continue over how U.S. tariff policy is affecting the cost of living and the broader economy. A lot to break down, so we've asked Margaret Kidd to join us. She's an adjunct professor at the University of Houston's Cullen College of Engineering and an expert on tariffs, if anyone can be these days. Margaret, thank you. Welcome back to Hello Houston.
Well, thank you for hosting me, Frank.
I'm glad you're here.
You know, before we get into the impacts the tariffs will have, specifically looking at Christmas and the holidays, for months, the full impact of President Trump's tariffs was not clear at first. It was very unclear. There was a lot of speculation, a lot of, uncertainty. Just you wait. What are the impacts going to look like? And you know what? But one thing that the president is very clear on, that America is winning. So, Margaret, tell us, is that accurate?
Well, I don't know what your pocketbook looks like, but I certainly have felt the impact of tariffs. And I think most Americans, and especially those of us here in Houston, when we go down to Kroger's or H-E-B, we've seen an increase in our grocery tab, probably in excess of 25% over the last couple of years. Now, granted, it was nice to hear that they were going to repeal some of these tariffs on coffee, tropical fruits, cocoa, bananas, oranges, tomatoes, and beef. But the fact is there's a lot of front loading in terms of building up inventories to get ahead of the tariffs. So we're not going to see immediate relief to the consumers.
So explain to us who pays the tariffs. A lot of people think that if you have a tariff on China, that means China has to pay a lot of extra money to send something to America. I don't think they realize that we're paying it.
No, the consumer ultimately pays the tariff. So when goods come in to a port, there's tariffs depending where they're coming from, what the good is, and those tariffs are either absorbed by a company like, say, H-E-B or Home Depot, or they're passed along to the consumer. So when we're talking about food inflation and food prices, I mean, they're very small margins that these stores operate on. So, I mean, the consumer is actually feeling that pinch. And I brought a couple of charts just to give you some historical context, like how bad inflation really is for food. And so I wanted to start, the price of a turkey, and I'm going to pass this over to Ernie, at $1.69 a pound, and this is from the St. Louis Fed, and this gives you a chart going back 50 years. So you see we're at the highest. If we want to look at cocoa, it's even more astronomical at $9,000 per metric ton. Certainly an item that's used in all of our holiday cooking.
Wow.
And what about coffee? $9 a pound. Again, going historically back almost 50 years. You see kind of the impact during COVID. That's when that chart, it starts slanting upwards. Oranges, oh my goodness, over $1.80 a pound.
Now, Margaret, so there are some people that would say inflation and the cost of living is just a natural process. Are these numbers direct impacts from the tariffs?
It's a combination of tariffs, definitely, but also supply chain disruption, the bird flu, droughts, climate change, floods, droughts, cattle have been impacted by droughts. Chicken, poultry has been impacted by the bird flu. And then there's rising labor cost and transportation cost. And then when we look at farmers, added cost of even fertilizer to grow crops to feed these animals that then end up in the meat market at H-E-B.
Well, Trump made the point that inflation is virtually nothing. There were virtually no inflation. And maybe it is lower than it was under Biden. He says it's because of the tariffs.
Not at all. Inflation's at 2.9%, unemployment's at 4.4%, and U.S. consumer sentiment is at its almost lowest level ever at an index of 51. So consumers are concerned about their personal finances. They're also concerned about high prices and job security. Now, everyone in this room knows, I mean, how many layoffs have we read about here in Houston in the oil and gas sector, in technology, even in the logistics space?
Talk to me then. Let's go back a little bit to the tariffs. And we hear the president talk about all the money that has been made to the point that maybe everyone's going to get a $2,000 check in the mail to show them how prosperous we all are. How exactly does the government end up with money from tariffs, who's paying it when along the process, and how do we then disseminate it? I mean, I don't understand the whole theory of what's supposedly being said at that level.
Well, through the end of August, there was approximately $195 billion collected in tariffs. And this is from U.S. Customs and Border Protection.
Right there. How do we collect that money? Who is giving who money?
Well, the companies that import goods, whether it's raw materials or finished products, pay these tariffs.
When they arrive in this country.
When they arrive in this country.
To the U.S. government.
Right. And then that those component parts or goods, I mean, that price has to be passed along to the consumer. The tariffs are paid to the U.S. government by the company importing.
Hasn't the Supreme Court taken up some of these tariffs and hasn't quite ruled yet whether they're actually going to be allowed?
We're in a wait-and-see pattern at this moment. I mean, this has really been unprecedented. And when we look at the magnitude of the tariffs and the relationships that we've kind of redefining our relationships with the world.
So to Ernie's point, if the Supreme Court finds of the $171 billion that 90 billion are illegal, do we give that money back? Is that paid out to us and now we have to give it back? Or is all of this kind of on credit determined later?
Well, my understanding is there is a procedure for refunds. I can only imagine with the amount of trade we've seen come in, and there was a lot of front loading where major companies were trying to bring goods in to get ahead of the curve on the tariffs. There's going to be an accounting fiasco.
Yeah.
I want to go back to what you were just saying a minute ago about who pays the tariffs. And the reason I'm trying to get there is because of this idea, because you started it there, that, well, foreign governments pay the tariffs. But then those products that come in, to recoup that money given to the government, they increase the price of the product in this country. And so therefore, that is why it is the U.S. consumer that's paying it, even though the initial outlying of money comes from foreign governments, correct?
Absolutely. So these companies have the choice of absorbing it or passing it along. And let's be very clear, who's in business not to make a profit, right? So it is passed on to the consumer. So your lower income families really bear even more of a brunt of this because you look at the percentage of their income that goes to just basic necessities like groceries.
So now that we're on the accounting mess subject, can we be sure that the increase in prices is legitimate? In other words, companies aren't just saying, you know what, Americans are expecting a little bump in prices. We can bump ours up a little bit. I mean, would it behoove us to shop around?
Well, I would always advocate for shopping around. I think the consumer now is really looking for value. This is why organizations like Walmart are really reeling it in at the moment. I mean, when we think about value, you go to Walmart.
My problem with all of that, I'm sorry, Jeff. Yeah. Okay, is that when the price goes up like it is now, and the marketplace can afford it, ends up paying it, when the situation that caused that price to go up goes away, oftentimes I get the feeling the price stays higher because they've seen the marketplace will support it.
Yeah, that was my point.
So that becomes this vicious cycle of we don't get back to what the prices were before the tariffs. We don't get back to 89 cents for a dozen eggs.
Well, there's also, you need to factor in this new geopolitical order, and there's increased cost for transportation. So just because the tariff has peeled back, what it didn't peel back was the labor component. It didn't peel back the transportation component. So, you know, if your beef is $7 a pound and the tariffs are repealed, is it going down to $3.50? Absolutely not. We still have to factor in these other costs that go in there. There has absolutely been an argument that some retailers, especially in the food sector, have been rather aggressive on pricing. I think it makes sense to clip coupons and look where you can get the best value, especially if you have a large family.
You know, Margaret, as we go into the holiday season, we're looking at people are doing their holiday shopping. And from what we understand, you know, the president announced in late October he was increasing duties on Canadian goods and others. Now he's quietly holding off on them. And we're seeing, you know, holdings on certain things on the tariffs. How does that affect the consumer right now in this moment, or does it have any effect and it's really just him positioning, making sure he's not looking bad, essentially?
I think consumers are cautious, but if you look at what, you know, the experts are really saying, like the National Retail Federation,
yes,
and you can go to their website. I brought a chart. I mean, they're estimating holiday sales 4.2% over last year. They anticipate 91% of consumers are going to buy something this holiday, spending on average $890, with 186 million people shopping from Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. And what are they going to buy? They're going to buy Legos, Barbies, Hot Wheels, and a doll.
But can this be misleading? Because the prices have gone up on things. So even though what they're spending may be high, profit margins may actually be lower.
The profit margins may be, but we're approaching an estimate of over $1 trillion in spending.
But 10 years ago, how much did that same trillion buy?
A lot more than it does today.
Right, so that's the thing. You know, you're spending more because the cost of everything has gone up, but are we moving more product? Are we really seeing this as a good sign, or is it that's what the price of things are? So of course it's going to be more spent because you still have to buy the kiddos their Legos.
Absolutely. Where would we be without Legos Christmas morning?
Yeah, well, on bare feet. So in fairness, is there some upside to the tariffs? Is it keeping inflation down? I mean, it's obviously the government we have right now is right behind it.
Tariffs are inflationary, period. Okay. I think part of what the Trump administration is looking to do is to bring more manufacturing back to the U.S. But as consumers, we're so in love with our inexpensive tennis shoes and clothes. And food, we're so spoiled. We get, you know, tropical fruit from Chile and Mexico when it's winter here. So, I mean, we are dependent on some of these foreign sources.
Help me with this concept. Shops online like a Temu, where everyone said, oh, with the tariffs, all their prices are going to go so much higher that it's not going to be that cheap place to go anymore. And then you start seeing they're saying, oh, ship from U.S. warehouses. So all of a sudden they don't have to increase any of their prices because they have U.S. warehouses. What's the game being played there?
Well, there's not so much of a game. They front-loaded this inventory, and so there's robust inventories of inexpensive clothing from Temu, easily 90, 120 days worth.
But then when that ends, then will we start seeing that? I know there was a thing about, was it Amazon was going to start putting the price, how much of it was because of tariffs?
I had read that, and then I also had read that there was pressure for them not to do that. Right. So I'll be curious to see what they do.
Down the road, what happens.
So we did get this text, Ernie, to your earlier point. Foreign governments, you sort this out for us, Margaret. Foreign governments do not pay tariffs. I actually import products from Canada. The importer of record pays the tariff. Sometimes that's the same company that made it, but often not. In my case, it's me. True?
It's the importing company that pays it, and then they're going to pass it along to the purchaser of their products.
Thank you for clarifying that.
And we did get another text that says the point of tariffs is to increase the price of imported goods to make domestic goods more competitive. It does not make anything more affordable. That's the exact opposite of the express purpose. Thoughts, Margaret?
Well, some goods we don't produce.
Right.
Do we grow kiwis in the U.S.? Do we grow cocoa? Do we grow bananas? The answer is no.
We don't have much coffee in the U.S. other than Hawaii, which, I mean, Kona, but that's about it, right?
So I guess the concept always behind tariffs was it would bring up the price of cheaper overseas product so that the American product, which was more expensive, would be more competitive in the marketplace.
And then there's products where there's no substitution.
Right.
Oh, so that's the ones we have to roll back because those are the ones that are affected the most.
Right, and that was the list I gave you, and that was part of the president's announcement. Coffee, tea, tropical fruits, cocoa, spices, banana, oranges, beef.
So I'm guessing either this administration or a new one could simply come in and say, okay, no more tariffs. We're rolling them all back. And is that practical? Are we too far into the game?
Well, if we look at the last 100 years of history in the U.S., the only time we've had really high tariffs was 100 years ago, and we know what happened to the markets then.
Yeah, they failed.
They failed.
Something great. A depression, I do believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Margaret Kidd is an adjunct professor at the University of Houston's Colon College of Engineering and an expert on tariffs. Margaret, thank you for joining us again on Hello Houston.
And all your charts.
Thank you for hosting me.
Yes. Coming up, we're going to discuss the truth about motherhood with Elisha Beach. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
We know next time on Marketplace.
You can listen to it tonight at 6:30.
Caring for a parent can be difficult, and for millennials, it comes with unique challenges.
A lot of us came of age and entered the workforce during major economic crises, and you add on the costs of caregiving, that sets up an entirely different economic catastrophe.
I'm Juana Summers, millennial caregivers who are also trying to build their own lives, on All Things Considered from NPR News.
You can listen today at 3 o'clock.
I want to make a movie about this.
The Arts Hour brings you film.
The themes in it are so far ahead of their time.
Books.
The detail is amazing.
Art.
There's all the personal stuff.
Theatre.
Lots of singing and dancing and colours.
Music.
The dance floor is made for dancing.
And everything in between.
I want it to be exciting.
That's the Arts Hour with me, Nikki Beatty.
I really identified with it.
From the BBC.
The Arts Hour. Friday nights at 9 on News 88.7.
Houston Public Media, in partnership with Texas Southern University, brings to you The Vibe. R&B, hip-hop, and neo-soul. Music that resonates with all ages. The Vibe on 88.7 HD3 and on the Houston Public Media app.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from attorney mediator Ron Bankston, providing in-person, video conferencing, and hybrid mediation and arbitration services. More information is available at ronbankston.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manouse, Celeste Díaz Schurman, and Frank Billingsley.
Elisha Beach is the founder of the Mom Forum, an online community dedicated to helping moms reclaim control of their own versions of motherhood and self-care. And now in her new book, Balance is BS, the truth about motherhood and self-care. Beach is sharing what she's learned about moms struggling with, quote, doing it all, to redefine self-care to fit their own version of motherhood. And she joins us now to tell us more. Welcome, Elisha. Welcome to Hello Houston.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So, Elisha, I've got to say, women in general are constantly being told we have to be more. Then you add in being a mom, and the message becomes you don't only have to be more, you have to do more, and you also have to look good doing it. Right? Like, you just had a baby, but you can't look like you just had a baby. Or, you have a toddler, you're tired. Oh, but don't look tired. So when I saw the title, Balance is BS, it's really sparked my interest. Tell us, how is balance BS?
Well, you have heard this question probably many times, but it only comes to mothers. They only ask mothers, "Oh, how do you balance it
Balance it
all?"
all.
I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever heard that question be presented to a father. And it's just an illusion that I think is expected of mothers, and it's just not the reality of any mother's life.
Right. And you went pretty viral for a photo. And it was you were breastfeeding your baby and you were sitting on the toilet. Talk to us a little bit about that because I find that so interesting that that's what you went viral for.
I just got up in the morning, I went and sat on the toilet, and it was really more of a like a having, I learned from my husband, you can have your own moments in the bathroom, so I was taking advantage of it. And then my little girl just comes into the bathroom, and on her way to me, she just opened the cabinets and pulled stuff out. And so there was this trail of mess out of our bathroom cabinets. And once she got to me, she wanted to breastfeed, and I breastfed on demand. And so when it was happening, I said, "Honey, you have got to come in here and take a picture of this," because I felt like it defined my life in that moment. And I had a lot of mom friends that were in the same phase. So I was like, I'm going to post this, and I bet my 40 little friends will think that it's really funny and get it. And
Talk
just
about
kind of
multitasking, huh?
Well, I think
choice.
it sounds to me like the first step is to just admit that you can't
This is
can't
chaos.
balance it all.
Yeah.
You just can't. So how?
And with each kid, you have to give up that idea more and more.
Yeah. So what do you do as a mother? Not only a new mother, but a mother of 3 or 4 and blended families that come together. How do you try to at least
Navigate?
Is there any synonym for balance? Is there a better word than? How do you at least survive? How do you survive?
Well, I tell moms you do have to plan and be intentional about prioritizing your own needs, because we talk about self-care as if it's something that just kind of happens and it falls into your lap. But when you have kids, especially multiple kids, you don't get that benefit that it doesn't just happen for you. So this book is really about helping moms plan it into their lives so it's built in to their everyday routines, that they're getting self-care so that they can be the moms, the wives, the daughters, the business owners, employees that they need to be.
What is your thought and feeling on this whole movement now of what are they called, trad moms, the traditionalists, and going back, and the simpler life? What's your feelings on that? And also explain the position I'm talking about here.
Yes, so there's a huge trend on social media for, they call them trad wives, and they are what they refer to as traditional women. So they stay at home, a lot of them homeschool. It tends to be based in very Christian values. They make a lot of their food from scratch. And my thing is, you do what works for you as a mom, because no one lives your life. No one has your children. No one has the life experiences you have. You really have to do what works for you. I just don't like when it becomes oh, I'm better than you because I do things this way. Everybody's not going to live the same life, and we have to be okay with accepting all the versions of motherhood that are out there. As long as the kids are safe,
right?
It should be fine.
And
Everyone's mother.
Part of what you're talking about is everyone has to live their own experience, and you got to do what you got to do, and others sitting in judgment of it because you're not doing it all. You're doing what you need to do and what you can do, and that needs to be celebrated and not looked at as failure.
Yeah, motherhood is hard, and we are all different people. We can't do it the same way. And I think the more that we can support each other's, not only as mothers, but as fathers and parents, the easier it is for everyone.
You know, it's interesting. You have a traditional sort of motherhood in a non-traditional environment. Tell people about that, because it's fascinating.
I was waiting for this question.
Well,
yes.
You wrote the essay, honey.
I did. I am a stay-at-home mom. Well, I guess I would be more of a work-at-home mom. And my husband, we have a blended family, and his ex-wife lives in the house with us. So yes, that is very out of the norm. I don't necessarily think it's for everybody, but it's something that works for our family. And so that's what we do for us.
And your kids love her, right?
Yeah, they call her the ex-mom.
Yeah, but it's like having two moms, sort of.
But I would imagine that's also another component of motherhood that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily put the fact that your husband's ex-wife lives with y'all as under the thing of motherhood. But so much about motherhood is kind of finding that selfless love. Like, if this is a way that I can love my children better, I'm going to try to do it and make it work. Can you talk to us about how some of the deciding factors, how you guys ended up in this situation?
Sure. Well, a big part of my book is talking about building a village.
Yeah.
And sometimes that village may look very untraditional if that's what works for your family. For us, my husband is an actor and he just really has no control over his schedule and he can be in and out a lot, and it's hard to navigate. Like, he just left yesterday to go out of the country for 3 weeks to work. So knowing that his ex-wife really understands that dynamic and having her in the home to be able to step in and help when he is gone, because when he's home like full time. He's picking up kids, he's dropping kids off, he's helping cook breakfast. And so when he's gone, I really feel it. And we don't always have full-time help in place. So Tracy being in the home has just been a significant help. Now she has her own space on downstairs, opposite side of the house. So we get rumors that there's other things going on, and there are not.
Right.
But it's a village that she has and that I have. And all of our kids benefit from this because they have a home base where they can have the support of all of their parents right there at their fingertips.
Well, and Tracy has 4 adult children who obviously don't live with you. So she's already been around the block as far as being a mom. So she must be a huge help.
She is. And she also is a trained chef. So
my God.
Meals during the week.
The sympathy.
I can focus on taking the kids.
She can come live in my house too if she'd like.
I love it. We also have one of the adult kids is living here with us right now. So we have the space for it. And it's been a wonderful transition, very untraditional, but it works for us.
You also talk about moms having a chance to take that moment and appreciate the wins when they get them. They don't have to be major wins, or they can be, but you've got to find a time to congratulate yourself when you get things good or right, or explain.
I think moms are so hard on ourselves. We find all of the reasons why we messed up. We yelled at our kid. We didn't do this right. We didn't make the right dinner. Nobody liked dinner. There's a million reasons why we don't get it right. And I think everyone has a natural propensity to think about all the things that they got wrong. But when we stop and think about, oh, but I was able to help my kid calm down, or I was able to sit down and do math homework with my teenager late at night and help him with that. I think we overlook those things so much, and it makes us feel there's more mom guilt that comes into play when we can't acknowledge the things that we are doing right in all of the roles that we're playing.
Well, Charlie Parker on YouTube says, give up perfectionism. The house will be a little messy, and this is temporary. The kids will be gone one day. Or one of them may come back. You never know.
Yeah, it's true. They do come back now.
Yeah, they do.
Elisha, if there's one thing that you want moms to hear right now, what would that be?
I want every mom to know that they have the right to prioritize themselves. We spend so much time prioritizing everyone else. We make sure everyone's eating right, sleeping right, getting their classes in, getting places on time. And I want us to take the time to do that for ourselves and prioritize our own needs too. And that doesn't make you a bad mom. It doesn't make you a bad wife. It actually helps you be better in those roles that we're playing as we're caring for others.
Yeah, if you're in a good place, everybody's in a good place.
Yeah. What about giving yourself also, as we've already mentioned, a little grace, especially over the next few weeks, which get really harried? I've seen that. My mom, every year, this was the time where it was just so much more going on.
It's kind of out of our control. this is the busiest time of year. You're managing holiday after holiday after holiday, and then we're looking at 25 different apps for schools telling us, oh, it's Spirit Week, and then you have a school potluck. Can you bring cookies and pies? Meanwhile, you're still planning the holidays, you're decorating, you're buying gifts. So I say to moms, remember, you basically have taken on a part-time job for the next 2 months. So you have to give
That's
yourself grace, and that you have this whole other thing going on that you don't normally have on your plate. So one, let some things go. What are some things you can say no to right now? And two, try to find something in your self-care practice that you can prioritize. Because right now you're not going to sleep 8 hours a day, drink water, make it to the gym, all the things that we want to do. So maybe it's prioritizing sleep so you're not losing your mind while you're trying to do all these things, or at least getting in good 2 to 3 meals a day so that you have the energy to do all of the things that you have on your plate.
Good advice.
Elisha Beach is the founder of the online community, the Mom Forum, and author of the book, Balance is BS, The Truth About Motherhood and Self-Care. Elisha, again, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we've run out of time for today's show. Again, we've run out of time.
I'm coming back tomorrow.
We'll be back tomorrow. We want to thank you for watching and listening to Hello Houston. Tomorrow we have more conversations. We're going to have Danny Perez from TxDOT talking to us about lane closures we head into the holidays. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. This is News 88.7. Have a great Monday.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altide, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Join us for Hello Houston, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., taking a deep dive into the stories that matter to Houstonians, keeping you informed, engaged, and entertained. With the generous support